There, gotta heard you.
Okay. Hi, I'm Felicia.
And I'm Giancarlo.
And this is our review of
Council of Blackthorn.
And why?
And why? So we're all playing as council members?
They're very. How come we have complicated games? I like the ones where it's like the bacon eating the lettuce. They were much simpler times.
Much simpler times. You don't know how to do math, so you don't like games that have those things.
That's not what I was gonna say. I was gonna say it's annoying in categories when you run out of the papers.
Oh, you don't need the paper. That's you don't really need it. Look at this.
That's very nice. Yeah, I guess it's cool.
Who the fuck? That's your phone, isn't it?
It's the washing machine.
That's the washing machines don't have those things.
Yeah, it's the end of the washing machine cycle.
I'm freaking out. I did not know this. Are you guys? It's the washing machine.
Yeah, in the 70s it was like bah! Now they put songs instead.
Because it's more of a. You see, I told you it was a very zen environment.
Yeah.
In Council of Blackthorn, players will play as cancel factions vying for influence from the 4 different class factions. The player with the most points, who hasn't been beheaded, wins. Board is set here with each player having been assigned a random council faction board, and dealt 5 faction cards and 3 treason cards, unless you're the Master of Shadows. Their markers will be at the start of each faction class track, with some council factions starting higher on some. Give the first player the starting player marker. He'll roll the dice and place them on their respective space. Starting with him and going clockwise, each player will take a turn.
Each turn follows this sequence in order. Complete building construction, action, play a card, draw, score for control. Complete building construction simply means to turn upright any buildings played on previous turns, should you have any. Then we move on to action. The active player may choose one action to perform. These are either listed on their council board, which differ from council to council, or from one of their upright building. For these, however, they must have the right amount of influence on the appropriate track. We then move on to play a card.
There are 3 types of cards: Whispers, Ally, and Building. Let's talk about the last 2. When playing one of these, the first thing you'll do is move up the influence track of the card being played, a number of spaces shown on the dice there. If the dice shows a 1 or 2, the player will resolve any ally card effect if they have the minimum influence for it, and then discard it. Buildings will remain in front of you, turned, only if you meet the required influence, if not, simply discard it. Only when they are turned upright on your next turn can you use the effect if you still have the influence prerequisite as an action. On a 0, the text of the card being played will resolve for an ally, or goes in front of you if it's a building, regardless if you have the influence or not for it. On top of that, the player will select an opponent to randomly take a treason card from them. These cards will be totaled at the end game, and the player with the most points in these will be beheaded and eliminated from the game. So pay attention on ways to get rid of them if your count is too high. Lastly, if you play a card when the die shows 3, texts are not resolved. Regardless if you meet the requirement or not, the card is discarded and that player draws 2 treason cards. Of course, however, that player just went up 3 spaces on the influence track. For the influence track, players may be on the same space unless it's the last one. First who comes there locks it in. He can, however, be moved down from card effects. Until then, he's secure there.
In the draw phase, the active player may choose to discard 1 card and then draw back up to 5. Lastly, we score for control. The active player will score 2 VPs for each track he's leading in, or 1 VP if tied with another player. He'll also score 2 VP if they are the player who has the most buildings in play, constructed or not. When done, the next player takes his turn until all have done so. The round finishes and the first player marker is passed. He'll grab all the dice, roll them again, and a new round begins. When 3 influence tracks are maxed, the remaining players in that round finish their turn and we go to final scoring.
Total up all the points value from your position on the influence track. Total up all the points from the completed buildings you have in front of you, and get 2 points for the ones under construction. Add all your influence points. Now, calculate the total of treason points you have. The player with the most of these gets beheaded and is eliminated from the game. If there is a tie here, they both lose their heads. The remaining player with the most points wins the favor of the king.
None of us heard about this game before, but we're sure glad we had the opportunity to review it. First thing that stands out is the beautiful artwork. The components aren't as great, but not bad either, so a half point. Theme is captured extremely well, with aspects of positioning for influence and spreading rumors with treason cards. So the player interaction is a huge plus there. Though the game is best played at 4 or 5, 6 is a little too long, and 2 to 3 the whisper cards lose value in my opinion. So scaling suffers a little. Still, the game has lots of tactical moves you can perform, and strategy as well. Yes, there's dice, but the luck factor is extremely well contained, from the extremes of 0 and 3s on the dice and how their effects are applied. And though the game is fun and quite unique, I am a little worried of replay value and shelf stay. It does feel a little like once you've played through it a couple of times, even with different balanced characters, you'll have the sense you've played all there is to this game. Still a very, very cool game that surprised us. Council of Blackthorn scores an 8 out of 10. Subscribe now to our channel to stay in the loop. If you like our work, help us continue by sharing the channel to your gaming group. Thanks for watching and happy gaming.